Have you ever felt like something in your life just isn't right? Maybe it's a relationship that leaves you drained, a job that no longer fulfills you, or a sense of dissatisfaction you can't quite shake. Deep down, there's that quiet voice telling you that you deserve more. But how often do you ignore it, telling yourself that discomfort is just part of life? The truth is, many of us settle for less than we deserve, whether out of fear, habit, or the belief that we're not worthy of something better. But what if the key to transforming your life was already within you? In today's video, we're diving into the powerful wisdom of Carl Jung and exploring why understanding and embracing your true self-worth is the foundation of a fulfilling life. If you've ever wondered why you keep attracting the same draining situations, or why you find it so hard to break free, this video will shed light on the answers. It's time to stop settling and start living the life you truly deserve. Let's begin. Exploring the psychological roots of accepting less. When we reflect on our lives, we often realize that we've been tolerating situations that drain our energy, deplete our spirit, and fall short of our potential. This might be a relationship that doesn't fulfill us, a job that leaves us feeling stuck, or even a lifestyle that doesn't align with our deepest desires. But why do we continue to accept these circumstances, even when we know deep down that they're not right for us? According to Carl Jung, the answer lies in the concept of the shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves that we suppress, ignore, or reject. These aspects of our psyche are often formed early in life, shaped by external expectations and societal norms. From childhood, we are taught what is acceptable and what is not. We are conditioned to follow the rules, to be grateful for what we have, and to be satisfied with what we're given. As a result, we may suppress our desires, our emotions, or our needs, thinking that we're being good or virtuous by doing so. However, as Jung pointed out, these suppressed parts of our psyche do not simply disappear. Instead, they accumulate in the unconscious mind, influencing our thoughts, behaviors, and decisions in ways we often don't even realize. This is why we may find ourselves repeatedly falling into the same negative patterns, whether it's staying in an unfulfilling relationship, tolerating poor treatment at work, or living a life that feels like it's lacking purpose. The repressed parts of ourselves have a way of manifesting externally as situations that reflect our unresolved inner conflicts. It's important to note that these patterns are not random. Jung believed that the unconscious mind communicates with us through symbolism and projections. In other words, when we experience dissatisfaction or discomfort in our lives, it is a reflection of something deeper within us that needs attention. If we continue to ignore these signs and fail to confront our shadow, life will continue to present us with similar challenges, disguised in different forms, until we address the underlying issue. Breaking free from this cycle begins with recognizing and acknowledging the shadow. We must take the time to look inward and identify the aspects of ourselves that we have neglected or suppressed. By doing so, we can begin to integrate these hidden parts into our conscious awareness, which allows us to make more aligned and empowered choices moving forward. How self-worth shapes our external reality. Once we begin to explore the psychological roots of why we accept less than we deserve, the next crucial aspect to understand is the role of self-worth. Our perception of our own value directly impacts the way we navigate the world, make decisions, and allow others to treat us. Jung's teachings highlight that the way we see ourselves internally is mirrored in our external reality. If we don't believe we are worthy of love, respect, and success, we are less likely to seek or accept those things in our lives. This is why so many people find themselves in situations that don't serve them, or why they tolerate mistreatment from others. At a subconscious level, they may feel that they don't deserve any better, or that they are not capable of achieving the things they truly want in life. The key here is to recognize that our self-worth is not determined by external validation or the opinions of others. It is an internal process, one that requires us to connect with our true self and embrace our inherent value. This is where self-love comes into play. Self-love is not about being self-centered or narcissistic, it's about accepting ourselves fully, with all our strengths and imperfections. It's about understanding that we are worthy of love, success, and happiness simply because we exist. When we start valuing ourselves and truly believing in our worth, our external reality begins to shift. We stop tolerating situations that drain us or leave us unfulfilled. We begin to make choices that align with our highest potential, and we attract relationships, opportunities, and experiences that reflect our newfound sense of self-worth. A powerful example of this can be seen in the life of Karen, a woman in her 60s who had spent decades in a relationship that no longer served her. Karen had always put others first, suppressing her own needs and desires in the process. But when she began to recognize her own value and set boundaries, her entire life transformed. She found herself in healthier relationships, took on new challenges, and began to pursue passions she had long neglected. This is the power of self-worth. When we truly believe we deserve better, we stop accepting less, and we begin to create a life that reflects that belief. The cycle of repetition, why negative patterns persist. If you've ever wondered why certain types of relationships or situations keep appearing in your life, even after you've tried to change, you're not alone. This is a common experience for many people, and it's deeply rooted in the psychological processes Jung described. The repeating negative patterns are not a coincidence. They are a reflection of unresolved issues within our unconscious minds. Jung's concept of the shadow is crucial here once again. When we fail to address the repressed parts of ourselves, the parts we refuse to confront, the unresolved issues will continue to manifest externally. This is why we often find ourselves repeating the same mistakes, staying in toxic relationships, or falling into similar patterns of dissatisfaction. These patterns are not random. They are simply reflections of the inner work we have yet to do. Consider the example of Steve, a man in his 70s who kept finding himself in unfulfilling jobs. Each job felt the same, draining, uninspiring, and devoid of meaning. He felt stuck, as though he was trapped in an endless loop. But when he took the time to reflect on his inner beliefs about his worth, he realized that he had been unconsciously holding on to the belief that he wasn't capable of pursuing his true passion. Once he confronted this belief and shifted his mindset, he began to attract opportunities that aligned with his true calling. The process of breaking free from these repeating patterns requires self-awareness. It's not enough to blame external circumstances or other people. We must look inward and ask ourselves what these situations are trying to teach us. By understanding that the patterns in our lives are reflections of our inner state, we can begin to shift our mindset and break free from the cycle of repetition. The role of self-sabotage, how we undermine our own growth. While many of us desire happiness, success, and love, there is often a hidden force that works against us, self-sabotage. This unconscious behavior can manifest in many ways, from downplaying our own successes to staying silent when we should speak up, to tolerating mistreatment because we feel undeserving of better. These small acts of self-betrayal accumulate over time and reinforce the belief that we are not worthy of more. Self-sabotage is often rooted in a lack of self-belief. Deep down, we may feel that we are not capable, worthy, or deserving of the things we truly want. This belief can lead us to make decisions that undermine our own growth and well-being. We might stay in toxic relationships because we fear being alone, or we might stay in unfulfilling jobs because we don't believe we have the skills or potential to pursue something greater. The key to overcoming self-sabotage is to build self-awareness and self-compassion. We must recognize when we are engaging in self-destructive behavior and understand why we're doing it. Often, self-sabotage is a defense mechanism. Our unconscious mind tries to protect us from perceived threats or discomfort. But once we bring these behaviors into our conscious awareness, we can begin to challenge them and replace them with healthier, more empowering choices. For example, think about Janet, who spent years downplaying her achievements at work to avoid making others uncomfortable. She believed that bragging or acknowledging her accomplishments would make her seem arrogant. But when she started to recognize this pattern, she realized that her refusal to acknowledge her own success was rooted in a fear of being seen as too much. By reframing her mindset and allowing herself to celebrate her achievements, Janet began to feel more confident and empowered in all areas of her life. Overcoming self-sabotage requires a shift in mindset. It's about recognizing our worth and taking responsibility for our own happiness and success. When we stop undermining ourselves, we open the door to greater opportunities and a more fulfilling life. The importance of self-awareness and breaking free. As we've seen, understanding why we accept less than we deserve and why negative patterns persist begins with self-awareness. This is the foundation of personal growth and transformation. Self-awareness allows us to see our limiting beliefs, unconscious patterns, and self-sabotaging behaviors. Without this awareness, we continue to make choices that keep us stuck in unfulfilling situations. Self-awareness is not about judgment or criticism. It's about observation and understanding. It's about getting to know ourselves on a deeper level, our desires, fears, beliefs, and motivations. By becoming more aware of our thoughts and behaviors, we can begin to make conscious choices that align with our true desires and values. The process of developing self-awareness is ongoing. It requires honesty, introspection, and a willingness to face the parts of ourselves that may be uncomfortable or painful. But the rewards are immense. As we cultivate self-awareness, we begin to break free from the cycles of repetition, self-sabotage, and settling for less. We create the space for new possibilities to emerge, and we start to make choices that honor our true selves. Shifting your energy, how self-love alters your reality. As we begin to recognize our worth and confront the unconscious patterns that keep us stuck, a profound shift begins to take place in our lives. One of the most powerful aspects of self-love is the way it changes the energy we put into the world. Our internal energy directly influences the reality we experience. When we truly love ourselves, we begin to make decisions from a place of confidence and self-respect. We stop tolerating unhealthy relationships, unsatisfying jobs, or situations that don't resonate with who we are at our core. Instead, we choose environments, people, and experiences that align with our authentic selves. Think about the energy we project when we believe in our worth. When we act from a place of self-love, we radiate positivity, confidence, and authenticity. This energetic shift is magnetic. The right people begin to show up in our lives, the opportunities we've been waiting for start to materialize. And we begin to feel a sense of alignment that we may have never experienced before. Take Michael, for example, a man who had spent much of his life undervaluing himself in his career. He always put others' needs first and sacrificed his own dreams and aspirations to please others. But once he began to embrace self-love and set clear boundaries, he noticed a change in his life. He started attracting clients who appreciated his skills, his colleagues began respecting his input, and he felt more fulfilled than ever before. Michael's life didn't magically change overnight, but his internal transformation set the stage for external change. The key here is that self-love doesn't just transform the way we see ourselves, it changes the way the world responds to us. When we step into our full potential and make choices that reflect our true value, the universe responds by aligning with that energy. Our reality shifts because we are no longer settling for less. We are now fully embracing what we deserve. Embracing courage, the path to transformation. While the concept of self-love may seem simple, embracing it fully requires a great deal of courage. This courage is not just about facing external challenges but about confronting the parts of ourselves that we have hidden away. The parts that we may have been afraid to acknowledge. Jung's concept of individuation, or the journey toward becoming our true self, emphasizes the importance of facing our fears, questioning everything we have been taught, and shedding the beliefs that no longer serve us. For many people, the idea of personal transformation is terrifying. We often remain in familiar situations, even if they are causing us pain, simply because the unknown feels more frightening than staying where we are. But the truth is, the comfort zone is a trap. Staying where we are keeps us stuck in the same cycles of dissatisfaction and unfulfillment. The real transformation happens when we step out of that comfort zone and make the conscious decision to change. This journey toward transformation is not easy. It requires us to shed the old identities we've clung to and embrace a new way of being. It demands that we let go of the limiting beliefs that have held us back for so long. But as we embark on this journey, we begin to experience the freedom and empowerment that comes from living authentically. Sarah, a woman in her 50s, had spent years feeling trapped in a career that didn't fulfill her. She was terrified of starting over, of venturing into the unknown. But when she finally decided to confront her fears and pursue her passion for art, her life changed in ways she could have never imagined. She didn't have all the answers right away, but the courage to begin the process of transformation set everything in motion. Courage is the fuel for transformation. It's the willingness to face the unknown, to let go of old patterns, and to embrace the possibility of a life that is truer to who we really are. Synchronicity. How life aligns when we align with ourselves. When we start to live from a place of self-love and authentic alignment, something magical happens. This is where the concept of synchronicity comes into play. Jung described synchronicity as meaningful coincidences that occur when we align with our true selves. These are not random events, rather, they are signs that we are on the right path. When we decide to stop settling for less, we begin to notice these synchronicities in our lives. It might be an unexpected opportunity that seems to come out of nowhere, a chance encounter with someone who shares our interests or values, or a sudden breakthrough in a project we've been working on for years. These moments are not accidents. They are the result of us aligning with our authentic self and opening ourselves to the flow of life. Take Robert, who had always felt like something was missing in his life. He had spent years in a job he hated, but once he started working on his self-worth and pursuing his passions, things began to shift. One day, while volunteering at a local community event, he met a person who was looking for someone with his exact skill set for a new project. That encounter led to a new job, a fresh start, and a life that felt more meaningful. Robert had been subconsciously aligned with his purpose, and the universe responded by bringing him the right opportunities. Synchronicity is a powerful reminder that when we live in alignment with our true selves, the universe responds with opportunities, people, and experiences that support our growth. We stop chasing after what we want and begin attracting it effortlessly, as if the world is conspiring to help us realize our full potential. The continuous practice of self-love. It's essential to remember that self-love is not a one-time achievement, it is a continuous practice. As we move through life, we will encounter new challenges, doubts, and fears. There will be moments when we slip back into old patterns or question our worth. But the key is not to be perfect, it's to continue the practice of loving ourselves, even when it's difficult. Self-love is a commitment to ourselves. It's about treating ourselves with the same compassion, respect, and care that we would offer a loved one. It's about acknowledging our flaws without judgment and celebrating our strengths without arrogance. Most importantly, it's about making choices from a place of self-respect, not fear or self-doubt. This ongoing practice of self-love is what sustains us through life's challenges. It's what gives us the courage to keep moving forward, even when the road gets tough. And as we continue to grow and evolve, we will find that our lives become more aligned with our true desires. And we stop accepting less than we deserve, choosing yourself and living authentically. In the end, the journey towards self-love and self-worth is deeply personal. It requires introspection, courage, and a willingness to confront the parts of ourselves that we may have been avoiding. But once we choose to step into our true worth, everything begins to change. We stop settling for less. We begin to attract what we deserve, and we start living a life that is in alignment with our deepest desires and values. Self-love is not a destination, it's a practice that we must cultivate every day. It's a journey that requires patience, persistence, and self-compassion. But the rewards are immeasurable. When we choose to love ourselves fully, we create a life that reflects our highest potential, a life that is fulfilling, authentic, and true to who we really are. So ask yourself, How much longer are you willing to accept less than you deserve? What would your life look like if you started making choices from a place of self-love and self-worth? The time to choose yourself is now. Breaking free from unhealthy patterns, releasing the past to embrace the future. As we move deeper into the journey of self-love and self-discovery, one of the most profound aspects of transformation involves breaking free from the unhealthy patterns and behaviors that have held us back. These patterns often stem from our past experiences, conditioning, and the unconscious beliefs that we have internalized over the years. To truly elevate our lives and stop accepting less than we deserve, we must confront these patterns head-on and release what no longer serves us. Many of us have been shaped by societal expectations, family dynamics, and past relationships that led us to believe that we don't deserve more. This could take the form of people-pleasing behaviors, fear of confrontation, or an unconscious tendency to put others' needs ahead of our own. We might be repeating the same cycles of disappointment in our careers or relationships. And we may not even realize that we are perpetuating these patterns. These unconscious behaviors are often rooted in our desire for approval, love, or validation, and they can prevent us from embracing our true worth. Consider Joanna, a woman in her late 40s who had spent most of her adult life in toxic relationships. She often chose partners who didn't appreciate her or treat her with respect. And she believed that this was all she could expect in love. But when she started doing the deep inner work and looking at the unconscious beliefs that had guided her decisions, she realized that she had been subconsciously repeating the same unhealthy relationship patterns because she didn't feel worthy of true love. By confronting these patterns and letting go of the limiting beliefs that kept her stuck, Joanna was able to break free and attract a healthy, fulfilling partnership that honored her worth. The key to releasing these patterns is to become aware of them. We must first understand where they come from and why they continue to show up in our lives. Once we shine a light on these unconscious behaviors, we can begin to dismantle them. This requires a willingness to step outside of our comfort zone and challenge the beliefs that have kept us in cycles of self-sabotage. In Jungian psychology, the process of releasing these patterns is often referred to as shadow work. The shadow consists of parts of ourselves that we have suppressed, denied, or rejected. These parts often contain the traits, desires, or emotions that we consider undesirable, such as anger, jealousy, or insecurity. However, these emotions and traits are not inherently negative. They are simply parts of our humanity that need to be integrated into our consciousness. By acknowledging and accepting our shadow, we can break free from the unhealthy patterns that keep us stuck and embrace our full, authentic selves. Building healthy boundaries, protecting your energy and self-worth. One of the most powerful tools in the journey of self-love is the ability to set healthy boundaries. For many people, especially those who have spent years sacrificing their own needs for others, setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable or even selfish. However, boundaries are an essential part of self-care and self-respect. Without them, we are vulnerable to being drained by others' demands and expectations, and we risk losing touch with our true needs and desires. Boundaries are not about rejecting others or being unkind. They are about protecting our energy and ensuring that we are engaging in relationships and situations that honor our well-being. When we set boundaries, we are making a clear statement that we value ourselves and our time. We are prioritizing our needs and not allowing others to overstep them. This act of self-respect is a critical part of showing up as our most authentic selves. For example, David had spent many years working in a high-pressure job where he was constantly expected to go above and beyond. He was the go-to person for last-minute projects, and his personal time was often sacrificed to meet the demands of his job. He started to notice that he was becoming increasingly stressed and exhausted. And he realized that he was neglecting his own health and happiness. By learning to set boundaries and say no to requests that were draining him, David was able to regain his balance. He communicated his needs clearly and asserted his right to prioritize his well-being, even if it meant disappointing others. This shift allowed him to create more time for self-care and to begin pursuing his passions outside of work. Setting boundaries is an ongoing practice that requires self-awareness and self-respect. It's important to recognize that saying no to others is not the same as saying no to ourselves. In fact, by saying no to things that don't align with our values or that drain our energy, we are saying yes to ourselves. Healthy boundaries allow us to protect our mental, emotional, and physical health, ensuring that we have the space to grow and thrive. Nurturing self-worth through compassion and affirmation. While setting boundaries and breaking free from unhealthy patterns are critical steps in the journey towards self-love, it's also essential to nurture and reinforce our self-worth through compassion and positive affirmation. Too often, we are our own harshest critics. We focus on our flaws and shortcomings, forgetting to celebrate our strengths and achievements. To truly embrace our worth, we must learn to treat ourselves with the same compassion that we would offer a close friend or loved one. Affirmations are a powerful tool for nurturing self-worth. By consciously repeating positive statements about ourselves, we can reprogram our subconscious mind to believe in our value and potential. For example, instead of focusing on self-criticism, we can affirm, "I am worthy of love and respect, I am deserving of success," and "I trust myself to make decisions that align with my highest good." These affirmations, when repeated regularly, help to reshape our internal narrative and build a stronger sense of self-worth. Consider Emma, a woman who struggled with low self-esteem for much of her life. She often believed that she wasn't good enough to achieve her dreams and would second-guess her abilities. But after learning about the power of affirmations and compassion, she began to change her mindset. Every day, she took time to speak kindly to herself and acknowledge her strengths. Over time, Emma's internal dialogue shifted, and she started to make decisions from a place of self-confidence. Her newfound belief in her worth empowered her to pursue her goals and build a life that was more aligned with her true desires. Self-compassion is equally important. When we make mistakes or face challenges, it's essential to be gentle with ourselves instead of falling into self-judgment or guilt. By treating ourselves with compassion, we allow room for growth and learning, rather than beating ourselves up for not being perfect. This mindset shift can help us build resilience and trust in our ability to navigate life's ups and downs. Living with intention, creating a life that reflects your true self. The final step in the journey towards self-love is living with intention. When we truly love ourselves and recognize our worth, we begin to make decisions that align with our authentic desires and values. This requires us to be clear about what we want from life and to take intentional steps toward creating a reality that reflects our true self. Living with intention means being proactive about our choices. It's about asking ourselves, does this align with my values? Does this support my growth? Is this decision in line with my highest potential? When we live with intention, we become the creators of our own reality, rather than passive participants. We stop waiting for external circumstances to change and begin making decisions that lead us toward the life we truly desire. Take James, for instance. He had spent many years in a career that didn't fulfill him, simply because it was what he was expected to do. But when he started to embrace his self-worth and live with intention, he made the decision to leave that job and start his own business. This wasn't an easy decision, but it was one that aligned with his values and his vision for the future. By living with intention, James was able to build a business that allowed him to use his skills, follow his passion, and live a life that reflected his true self. Living with intention is about being mindful of our choices and ensuring that they are in alignment with who we are and what we want to create in our lives. It's about taking control of our destiny and making decisions from a place of empowerment, not fear. As we reflect on the journey of self-love and self-worth, it's clear that this path is not a one-time decision, but a lifelong commitment to living authentically and aligning with our highest potential. By embracing courage, breaking free from unhealthy patterns, setting boundaries, nurturing self-compassion, and living with intention, we are empowered to create a life that reflects our true worth. Remember, the choice is yours. You can continue to accept less than you deserve, Or you can make the decision to choose yourself and create a life that aligns with your true desires. The journey may not always be easy, but it is worth every step. When you choose yourself, everything changes, not because the world shifts, but because you've aligned with your authentic self. And that energy will transform your reality. As we conclude this journey of self-love and transformation, remember that the power to change your life lies within you. By choosing to stop settling for less, breaking free from unhealthy patterns, and setting boundaries that protect your energy, you're creating the foundation for a life that truly reflects your worth. It's not just about making external changes, it's about making an internal shift. One where you fully embrace your true self and live with intention. Transformation isn't always easy, and there will be moments of doubt. But remember, every step you take toward honoring your worth is a step closer to living the life you deserve. Trust in yourself, trust in your journey, and know that the right opportunities and relationships will come when you align with your authentic self. As Carl Jung so wisely put it, if you love yourself, you won't accept less than you deserve. This is your time to choose yourself, to raise your standards, and to embrace the life you were meant to live. You are worthy of love, success, and happiness. Never forget that. Thank you for watching. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear about your own journey of self-discovery and the steps you're taking to live a life that reflects your true worth. Until next time, take care of yourself and continue choosing the life you deserve.